Okay, for those of you who weren't trying to tune in to the second preseason game of the year, so Atlanta United is on their Mexico trip for the second year in a row, preseason trip. They're going to be playing a number of Mexican teams, and um, they scheduled this match. It was open to the public, so we thought, okay, maybe they're going to stream the game, right? And sure enough, they announced the day of that they're going to stream it live on the Facebook page of the Mexican club Atlante. And Mikey Dobbs, tell them what happened when we tuned in.
Well, yeah, I go to the Facebook page and there was a countdown box. So I'm like, okay,
That
this
looks
is
good.
It's all looks good. It's all happening. And then as soon as it hit 0, the little box disappeared, and I was very confused. And so I kept kind of refreshing the Atlanta page. And then
It's like when we shot down that Chinese balloon.
And then I saw like some video section on the left and it said live, and I clicked on it and it showed some sort of video that looked live of the stadium and the field, and it was all happening in portrait mode. So I'm looking like this, Dave. I'm like,
There was a guy or gal, we don't know, standing in the upper deck with their cell phone filming the action in the wrong direction. So you had to turn your whole entire computer over. And so we thought, okay, maybe I could live with that. I got my computer on its side. It's all right. We're good. And then poof, like we shot down the Chinese balloon, gone.
And so that's the quality of, Marcom's team that they have. So how is their quality on the field? They seem to be able to put 4-1 on us, even if in a scrimmage, right? So
okay, so we played our starting lineup, and we finished. I guess they were playing 30-minute segments, and
so the first one ended 1-1.
The first one ended up 1-1, right? So we don't really know much about the goal that we scored because nobody could see it, but we did see eventually the goal we gave up. You want to talk about that?
No, so I did see a video of the goal we scored. It was Josetu. And right. he banged.
He always scores in preseason.
It looked like he banged it from outside the box near post. It was a really nice shot. So
now correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he score a banger in preseason last year? And people said, oh yeah, this is going to be the year. Josetu is going to be the guy.
I hope so, but
it didn't happen last year.
Well, they also gave Josetu the captain ban for a good span last year too. I mean, he was kind of hot and then he disappeared. Totally. Okay. So I don't know.
What about the goal we gave up?
So the goal we gave up, I'm assuming this was kind of the starting. Uh, 30 minutes.
Yes.
It looked like somebody 35 yards out.
Yeah, it wasn't even straight. It was pretty wide. It was way out.
They hit it from the right side of the field and hit it near post. And from what it looked like, I mean, it was, again, the camera angle was really wide. Brad Guzan just coughed it up off of his chest, trying to.
To be fair, I don't think it was a camera angle. I think somebody filmed it themselves and just posted it on YouTube.
Oh yeah. It was definitely not a professional deal. This was from the nosebleeds.
Okay.
Which again, I was able to assess. It was about 30 yards out. Somebody rips a shot near post. Brad goes down to just collect it, but it just bounces off his chest maybe as he goes down for it, and it goes right to one of two Atlante players who just bangs it right in.
We saw two things on Twitter. I mean, a number of people said, "Oh, why don't they close him down?" I'm like, to be honest, against any MLS goalkeeper or Brad Guzan, from that part of the field, way wide, 35 yards out, if I'm a defender, say, have at it. Yeah. That's just a waste. You're not going to beat him from there. So I don't think I've ever seen a goal from there.
So after that, I went to the tweetings of the world and said, hey, maybe Brad Guzan is in his last of days. I don't know if you've seen the HBO show. It could be the last of days for Brad. I don't want to be mean, but 38, recovering from an Achilles injury. Even a healthy 38-year-old on an average graph falls off a cliff at some point. And he's got a mountain to climb in terms of getting back to even close to the form that he was at before the injury. And that's a declining graph. So Dave, who would be the goalkeeper you think that they should play to give him a little more time to regroup? Like, who is it? This Diop guy? Everybody on Twitter seems to say there's this Garces.
No, Garces was our draft pick, right? He was the goalkeeper out of UCLA.
Everybody's really hot on him.
Well, he was good at UCLA as a college goalkeeper. So, he was good. But we have 3 backups, right? Because the other guy is Westberg,
Diop,
and he was an
else?
MLS goalkeeper, right? Garces.
Well, Garces isn't even on the roster.
He's not?
No.
Yeah, he's on the 2s.
He's on the 2s.
Okay. Oh, yeah,
and that's
sorry.
why I keep and everybody says that. I said, so why didn't we sign the long-term goalkeeper for Atlanta United during this last window?
Yeah.
Because we signed, I don't know Diop from anything, but it sounds by all accounts he's like serviceable at best. He's a journeyman, almost like Shuttleworth, but I'm hoping he's better than Shuttleworth. But I don't know what to expect from this guy. So why in the world wouldn't we have figured out who our long-term goalkeeper is, knowing Brad he's got a tough.
I think the answer is, as I said before, is they think that Guzan is still good to go for another year or 2.
Why?
Carmen, what do you think? So Carmen is our residential goalkeeping expert because her son is an absolute.
But Garth Lagerway is a data person, right? So this is no hard feelings on Brad. He's like he's the man.
Yeah, but the data say that these goalkeepers, the ones who are really, really excellent, will really go almost to 40. Van der Sar and Neuer, who just hurt himself skiing.
Off of a major injury, though?
He hurt himself skiing?
Yeah, he tore his ACL skiing.
So you're saying to 40, right? Which is he's in his twilight of the last 2 years there.
Yep.
Off of a major Achilles tendon rupture.
Yep.
I'm just saying, I'm no genius.
I think that's why they brought in guys as backup. They were cautious enough to bring in guys as backup, right. but they were not yet ready to turn the page on to the next goalkeeper.
So everybody on Twitter seems to think that this was it Garces, is the long-term and
I don't
somebody
know
else
about that. I mean, he was a draft pick. I mean, how many of the college are getting close to MLS for us? Miles Robinson. I know another one.
Who you got?
Right, a former winger from Atlanta United who went.
Syracuse, right?
No, it was Miles Robinson was at Syracuse. Gressel played at Providence. They're both Big East players.
Yeah.
So there's 2, but those were both signed in our very first class, right?
And they're not goalkeepers. I feel like with a goalkeeper, you need somebody with some experience.
Well, you would think, to be honest, that maybe college soccer is not good enough for MLS players. I don't know. I feel like, there's definitely great players in college soccer that should be able to make the jump. Certainly goalkeepers, you would say that. Yeah. If you're going to find someone, a goalkeeper would be, class.
And that's why I'm like, this Garces guy, I'm like, okay, let me see him. And I also, sure, give Brad some time right now to knock out the cobwebs, right? So hopefully that's what he's doing, and spill the beans and get the yip. Would you say, Carmen, the yips?
Get the yips out of the way in the preseason. Yes.
Okay. So hopefully that's it. And then he finds his footing. And
I think Carmen said that if her son had given up that goal, she would be disappointed.
I did say that. Yes. I wouldn't. And I said I wouldn't tell him that, but I would be disappointed if he would be disappointed. My 15-year-old would be disappointed if he spilled something like that in a practice.
It's 2 in a row.
To be honest with you, he would never have spilled that. I mean, it was just shambolic.
It was bad.
Yeah, it was really bad. And it's 2 in a row.
It's 2 in a row that were
That's the concern, right? It's one thing, you're rusty, you make a bad play or whatever. But in both cases, he's made 2 mistakes in 2 consecutive games. And it's the same exact mistake. Both of them were long. He was on the ground early. He was there, and he'd come close to keeping hold of it. That's a red flag.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we're all Brad Guzan fans. That's safe to say, but it's a concern. And I also don't know why we didn't. Then Garces better be our long-term guy if that's who you're betting on. I don't know.
I don't think so. I think that's people just putting too much stock in the twos. You know, I mean, how many?
Then
players...
why would we have signed Diop in like who's okay, but he's not a long-term answer.
If we really thought that Garces was a legitimate candidate to be our next goalkeeper, then you would never sign 2 players. Maybe you'd sign 1, but you would never have signed 2.
Why did we sign Westberg and Diop?
Right. That doesn't suggest that Garces is in the plans at all.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And everybody's like, and everybody on Twitter is like, you are really downplaying our talent pool. I'm like, I'm not. Pool. I was like, they're obviously signaling Garces is not the guy, because why would they have signed Diop and Westberg, 2 Frenchies? You know.
Yeah.
I mean, no. It should be. Machop Chol hasn't shown us anything yet, right? Before that, it was Lagos Kunga who didn't come close to playing for us, right? I mean, this pipeline that people speak of, I mean, who has come out of the twos? Jackson Conway hasn't done anything for them. He may, maybe he will, but, there is nobody that has come out of the twos through our system that has made the club. None, right? I mean, can we name? Am I missing someone? Have we met anybody who's made significant contribution to the club?
Not that I can think of as I sit here.
Yeah, it's all just like scratching, and everybody's so excited about it. I'm like,
and the guy the center back on the twos, who was a product from the academy, and I'm just
Campbell.
Campbell came out of the twos. You could say he made a contribution, but he's gone now.
Yeah, Campbell.
Right?
Not McFadden. He played a couple.
McFadden was a draft. He didn't come from the twos. Oh, no. He was a draft pick.
George Bello was a product of the.
Bello came out. So there. Now we got one. Okay, so there's one for sure. Bello absolutely came through the academy system, made a major impact before we went to Europe. So there's one for sure. Okay.
Is he just disappeared? What's his scoop?
Yeah, he's just disappeared. And as I told you, when they sent him, he's not ready to go to Europe yet, because offensively he was absolutely ready, but he doesn't know how to defend.
Yeah.
And he's never learned how to defend, right? Which is a problem. I mean, because at Atlanta United, it's not a problem, but the rest of the clubs depend on their outside backs to actually defend.